He had his chance to walk away a winner, but Mr. Brady wanted to win twice, and guess what happens? You lose your wife.
Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to The Sports Scene with Jess Ough.
Oh, roll the pumpkin and call me Jack. Yep, it's me, Jess Ough. Welcome everyone to The Sports Scene on iHeartRadio and iHeartRadio Podcasts, presented by First Bet and Sports Fluent Media on YouTube. Hey, we've got a great show for you. Our special guest is the director at the University of Miami for Communications and is an overall fantastic human being. Alvin, you'll like this. Brock Borgeson joins the show in a little bit. But first, please welcome back our dynamic duo of March Madness and a workday. And by that, you know I'm talking about my favorite color analyst, Mr. Alvin Delvey, who's back and ready to go. Hold up. Wait a minute. Remember that madness I was talking about just a second ago? Well, it's back on the show again. Please welcome back our resident couch correspondent, Max Ronquillo, who is about to send Alvin into a tailspin. Always good to have you both with me. And before we get into our top 5 sports stories for the week, you know, I actually have 2 questions for you. Max, we're going to start with you. The first one is, how are you? Welcome back to the sports scene. We're very happy to have you here. What's up? What's good in your life?
Yeah, I appreciate the introduction. I do have a few choice words to start off this show.
Oh,
here we go.
So, first
are we starting off on a heater? Yep, we are. Here we go.
Yeah, please can I have the floor?
Yep, you got it.
First off, those who are celebrating the holy month of Ramadan, I hope you guys are having a nice and generous month. And so with that, Alvin.
Oh, here it comes.
Here we go.
It's great to see your beautiful face and share the floor with you once again. LeBron James.
No, I knew it just couldn't be good. Like, it couldn't just stay good.
Congrats on 40,000 points.
What?
And Stephen A. Smith. You a bitch. and that's all I got to say.
I did not think that that's what you were coming with. Wow. Okay. Max is back, baby. The couch correspondent is back. Okay. Actually, Alvin, my second question is for you. The question is, in Georgia, it's illegal to eat what with a fork?
Impossible. Max just dropped a nuke. And we're trying to figure out, okay.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that. Should we just cancel the rest of the show?
See ya. It's been nice. Let's go jambalaya.
Great guess. Incorrect. Max.
Pig's feet, since Alvin would be there.
Big feet guy.
Also incorrect. Great guess. Gentlemen, in Georgia, it is illegal to eat fried chicken with a fork.
That makes sense.
Interestingly enough, in 1961, lawmakers in Gainesville, Georgia, not in Florida, Gainesville, Georgia, pushed forward a mandate that outlawed the use of cutlery when dining on fried chicken. Of course, nobody took this law seriously. It's actually still technically a thing, so it's, I think, still a law, but just nobody's doing anything about it. So something interesting there. All right, shall we get into our top 5 sports stories?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. We're going to start with number 5. We're actually coming with a fun fact for today. This is a short, quick, easy one. Just how, Alvin likes it. Today in sports, when this episode is actually airing, Wayne Gretzky on March 23rd scores his 802nd goal and passes Gordie Howe as the top scorer in NHL history. He also, for those of you out there that don't know Wayne Gretzky, he also leads the NHL in assists as well. So kind of cool that he's top 2 in both of those categories. Okay, let's get into our number 4 sports story. We're going into some NFL offseason moves. We talked about it for a sec last week. We're going to talk about it for a sec this week, and then in future week, we'll actually really get deep into it. But Max hasn't been here. We got to get his opinions on these. So Max, some of the NFL offseason moves that we've seen that are pretty significant. The Ravens signed running back Derrick Henry. The Falcons signed Kirk Cousins. The Chiefs recommitted to Chris Jones. The Giants traded for Brian Burns and parted ways with Saquon Barkley, who signed with the Eagles. And Justin Fields was traded for a 6th-round pick. So, to many more things, obviously, that we'll get into in the future. But what do you make of all the movement that you've seen this offseason?
I would say the one I'm probably most interested in is probably Justin Fields. I have a feeling listen, Bears fans, they got no pump. They got no arms. They got noodles for arms. Like they got no spirit. Their best quarterback that they've ever had in their franchise history was probably Jay Cutler. And that just shows you the pedigree of what that franchise just has been able to house for a quarterback. So Justin Fields needs to just get out of that mess in order to come play with the Dogs and probably the Dog fans. So it's obviously one of two ways here, and I'm hoping it goes the way where he just reignites, some level of competitiveness. He's only 25 years old. Mate just had his, prefrontal cortex fully developed. So, we're going to see, I'm hoping we can see some great things because it'd be awesome to see the Steelers play well, right? And so that's what I'm most interested to see. Also, Hollywood Brown going to the Chiefs just, solidified some nastiness over there. Maybe takes away some targets from Rashee Rice, unfortunately, or maybe just gives him more, right? But that's going to be a dynamite offense, lots of speed, lots of dogs, who already just won the Super Bowl, unfortunately, to our host here. And so, it's exciting off season. Jags were talking about getting Brandon Ayuk for a pick and some players, but that just fell to the wayside. They said it was a little too steep for their price, but that would be great to see. And I don't know. Those are probably what I was thinking is most interesting. Justin Fields, probably not going to be a dog. Would be sick to see him as a dog, though.
That also reminds me, Alvin, Max does have to run a beer mile.
Ooh.
I forgot about
I'd run
that
her with a
until
20-pound weighted vest faster than
Would
anyone
you?
right now.
He's a
Really?
specimen now.
I would.
Really?
I would do that right now.
Do you want to put
Well,
that
no.
to the test?
After Ramadan. After Ramadan.
Yeah, I was
After
thinking
Ramadan.
After the Holy
Okay.
Month. After the Holy Month.
Okay. Well, Alvin, Max has already taken a jab at Stephen A. Smith, and he's already given us a little bit of information on brain chemistry. I'm excited what he has to say next, but we're going to move on to our number 3 sports story. Let's get into some gambling for a sec. Florida's opponents of online sports betting suffered another defeat in their fight against the Seminole Tribe's gambling deal with the state. The Florida Supreme Court tossed out their challenge because they filed the wrong type of lawsuit. Go figure. This deal allows online sports betting and other gambling activities, generating hundreds of millions for both the tribe and the state. While the court loss is a setback for the anti-gambling groups, they can refile their case. These groups argue that the deal gives the Seminole Tribe an unfair monopoly and bypasses a requirement for voter approval on expanding gambling. They also question if online betting can truly happen on tribal land, since bets are placed electronically from anywhere in the state. So with online sports betting already launched by the tribe and significant revenue flowing to the state, this decision paves the way for potentially billions more in gambling revenue in the coming years. So we're just going to have to see how that plays out here in the state of Florida, because Hard Rock is legal in Florida. I know you've been seeing those commercials, Alvin, because it's literally the most annoying jingle on TV now. Anyways, speaking of gambling, let's get into our number 2 sports story. This one is for our couch correspondent, Max. Shohei Ohtani's longtime interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, was fired by the Los Angeles Dodgers after questions arose about millions of dollars in wire transfers from Ohtani's account to a suspected illegal bookmaker. Mizuhara initially claimed Ohtani knew about and even helped pay off his gambling debts, but later contradicted himself, saying Ohtani was unaware and that the money was stolen. The situation is unfolding amidst a larger federal investigation into illegal gambling with connections to other baseball figures as well. Ohtani's lawyers claim he is the victim of theft, while Mizuhara admits to his gambling problem and takes full responsibility for the situation. What's going on here?
Yeah, we know what's going on here. I could play the bit. I have tinfoil next to me right now. I would put it on. It's just this could be a sacrifice to joining the Hollywood ring, right? We don't want to get too deep into that. Let's just talk about the sports aspect of this. And then also another thing, I have a guy in my fantasy league, typical friend of a friend, cousin, brother, sister, runs the sports betting line that Ohtani's a part of, right? You just hear all these little stories, but that's the point. It is fishy. This is unfortunately one of those stories that we don't know all the information. We're probably not going to know all the information about it either. And because this guy is going to generate revenues in the $5 to $10 billion range in the next 10 years for the MLB. That's more important to them than a couple $1 million getting, slagged over for whatever sports he's betting on. Do I think that it was his interpreter? I don't know. Do I think it was Shohei Ohtani? Probably. It probably was. Golden Boys, there's always something wrong about him, but hey, Shoeless Joe Jackson, you suck. Pete Rose, you got the most hits of all time. You suck. You're not in the Hall of Fame. Shohei Ohtani's gonna be perfectly fine. That's just what it is. So, he's gonna generate $5 to $10 billion in the game for the next 10 years. This is just gonna be a slap on the wrist, and the guy who gets slapped the most is the guy who got fired. And he's probably not going to get another job for a very long time, not in America. So see ya. Your green card or whatever you had is gone. See ya. So it sucks for him. Ohtani, he just sacrificed that lamb, to the ring. And yeah, Dodger baseball, 130 wins. Let's go.
I'm going to burn that jersey next time I see it. All right. Anyways, we're going to get into our number one sports story. Max, how do you follow Will Smith in the snow?
You slap his
Oh, man.
I meant to say Chris Rock, but that came out instead.
Okay. Well, we are not so bad. Well, I was going to say, wow, I don't know how to follow that up. I was going to say, you have to follow the Fresh Prince in the snow. Get it?
More wholesome.
Yeah, okay. Well,
that was standard content.
I usually say I want to get into things more. We should not get into that more. Our number one sports story is coming up after the break. Oh. Bow! Welcome back to the sports scene, everyone. Did you expect anything less of the greatest tournament in sports that got underway this week, and obviously did not disappoint as the upsets came early and often? Of the 22,112,822 brackets made on ESPN.com, only 1,825 remained perfect after just one day of March Madness. By the way, mine is not one of them. I was close. I got 4 out of the 6 upsets, but still not in the money. A legend was born amid a Kentucky catastrophe. The slipper didn't fit Samford due to a faulty foul call, and a slew of double-digit seeds are still dancing. So let's recap. So first off, Max, I'm going to give you a fact real quick. This is called our WTF stat of the day. You ready for this? So Kentucky's last 4 seasons and NCAA tournament finishes under head coach John Calipari, who is a legend in college basketball. In 2020 to 2021, they missed the NCAA tournament. In the 2021-22 season, they were a number 2 seed, lost in the round of 64. Last year, in the 2022-2023 season, they were a number 6 seed, lost in the round of 32. This year, they're a number 3 seed, lost in the round of 64. But that wasn't the only big thing that happened. What did you see yesterday and the day before in men's college basketball or women's? What you got for us?
So yeah, let me just tell you about an interesting team that I'm excited to see play. Well, mostly actually an interesting player. His name's Keisei. Don't get too excited here, Alvin Tominaga. He plays for Nebraska. He has a super offensive approach. Listen, okay, guys. It's either he gets 0 buckets or he gets 30 points, all right? But he's scoring around 14.9, per game at this point. He's just always around center court. He's always just taking that extra point, right? Always just trying to take that open shot. He's never seen a shot that he doesn't want to take, which is the type of spark that you need in this type of tournament, right? Some people call him the Japanese Steph Curry, which, hey, I might order that for lunch later because that does sound pretty good to me. But
Japanese Steph Curry?
That's what they call him. He's a Japanese Steph Curry. Listen, if that's not on the menu, I might order that.
Wow.
But listen, I think his team, Nebraska, could be a sleeper team in this tournament. They have, it seems like they're a combination of like 2 or 3 teams. They can play small, they can play effective. They do have like an absence of a true point guard, but they have a great center. So they do have an energy first approach, which in March Madness, it's a grind. You're going to need it. You got Tominaga. I know Alvin's going to be watching every game for him now too. And so yeah, that's what I'm excited to see in the tournament. Aside from that, folks, you know me. You've listened to Sports Scene year over year. I don't do brackets. I just vote for the guys who I think are going to be dogs.
Big Coach Prime guy. Loves a good dog. Anyways, Alvin, I think it's about time that you and I give our Final Fours and national champions for both the men's and the women's side. And I will let you go first, brother.
Yeah, ladies first. Let's definitely, Iowa, most people are going to pick to be in the Final Four. I got Iowa, I got Baylor, I got Stanford, and naturally, I got South Carolina. I do believe Don Staley's going to hoist this year's March Madness trophy. So I think what she's done this year to cap off a couple of years of excellence, I think she's going to finally be able to drive that stake home and get them the dub. For the men's, I'm going with the Heart, A-Sun Conference. We've been calling a few games there, more than a few actually. So I got Stetson in there. They got a tough.
That's ridiculous.
They got
They're facing a #1 seed, Alvin.
They are. But you like a guy named Steph Curry, and he was able to go against some juggernauts back in the day. And I'm not saying Jalen Blackman, Steph Curry, but he has some pro qualities to him. So definitely think not definitely, but I do think Stetson's going to get in there, do some things. North Carolina, I believe. Kansas has a program that most of the guys in the NBA are from Kansas. Let's just be honest. So I think they'll be able to figure some things out. And I have Houston in there. Now, there's a couple guys on that side, a couple teams in that bracket that could bust this up. But I got that 4, and I'm going to go with Kansas hoisting up for the men. So I got Kansas for the men, and I got South Carolina for the women.
Okay. The women's, I almost agree with you completely on your Final Four. Your men's bracket, horrible. Absolutely terrible. You have clearly no idea who is going to be in the Final Four. So let me tell you who's going to be in the men's Final Four, Alvin, for the men's. It's going to be the 1 seed UConn. They're probably going to beat Stetson, mark my words. They're going to beat Stetson by at least 18 points because they play in the round of 64. The 1 seed versus the 16 seed. I know you went with your heart, but your heart is so incorrect right now. So the 16 seed is not going to upset the 1 seed. UConn is going to go all the way to the Final Four, and they're going to face, so here's my first sleeper pick, St. Mary's College, one of the top 20 performing defensive teams in the entire country. That's the first thing. They also are very good at grabbing offensive boards, giving themselves second chances. That's what I like about St. Mary's. On the other side of the bracket, I have the 1 seed Houston, who actually got bounced really early last year. They were one of the upsets. They have a more well-rounded team this year, and they're just solid at shooting the ball. They're solid on offense. They're solid on defense. Top 3 in all 3 of those categories. So it's going to be hard to beat them. I have them going against the number 2 seed in Tennessee in the Final Four. Tennessee, very big down low. They are just a bigger team than most. And I think that's what's going to be able to carry them because their coach likes to rotate 10 guys. No guy on that roster is pretty much under 6'3". So they're a pretty big team. I do see UConn and Houston going to the finals. And our March Madness champion is going to be UConn in the men's, specifically because they returned pretty much everybody from last year who won a championship. And you know what they say about championships? You have to have been there. And if you've won one, experience matters as you get deeper and deeper into March Madness or even in any sport, right? So I think UConn is going to go back-to-back for the first time since the 1900s. Now, on the women's side, I have Yeah, I think you'll like this, Alvin. I have the 1 seed South Carolina versus the number 2 seed Stanford. I do see South Carolina winning that one. They just got better from last year. Don Staley was able to bring in shooters, which is what their problem was last year. They couldn't shoot the 3-ball well. Now they shoot the 3-ball well. The 2 seed Stanford did get beat in the Pac-12 playoffs, so I can't really pick them over South Carolina. I mean, Cameron Brink is having one of the best seasons from a center that we've seen in college basketball in a very long time. The amount of blocks that she's averaging, some of the most ever in college basketball. She's fantastic. Obviously, on the other side, you have Iowa going to the Final Four. Although I will say that their bracket is severely the hardest. In their same bracket, West Virginia, Princeton, who always wins the Ivy League pretty much. Colorado is fantastic. The Pac-12 had the best. It was the hardest conference in all of the conferences that got entered into March Madness this year. They had like 7 of the top 20 teams in the country. They have LSU in their bracket. They have Creighton. They have UCLA, who's a number 2 seed and probably could have been a number 1 seed any other year. So they were not given, any exceptions at all with their side of the bracket. And you would think like, okay, maybe, you put them in Region 4 instead of Texas. You want to see Caitlin Clark try to get back to that finals because she's what's going to sell. They just didn't do that. But I see Iowa playing USC, 1 seed USC. USC is slept on all year for however good.
That's
Caitlin
what I was
Clark
going to
has been
say.
this year. The number 2 is USC. Juju Watkins is unbelievable. You were going to say that, Max?
I was like, where's the love for USC?
Yeah.
And the
USC.
freshman, Juju Watkins.
Yeah, Juju Watkins.
How did none of you guys say that they're in the top Final Four?
I mean, I'm saying it. She's in my Final Four. Juju
okay,
Watkins.
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's
okay.
So that's not all. So when I'm thinking about Final Four, Caitlin Clark is going to take them through that juggernaut of a region. They're going to get to the Final Four. And then they're going to go against number 1 USC, who actually has a relatively good, but not the best region in Region 3. I think they're going to cruise into the Final Four with some momentum because they're just going to be beating people and learning how to play together. Juju Watkins, for however good Caitlin Clark is, Juju Watkins was right under it. Caitlin Clark, most points per game in the NCAA this year. Who was right under her? Juju Watkins. She's a freshman. And now at this point, who is a more complete team? Lindsey Gottlieb, the head coach of USC, former head coach for the California Golden Bears women's basketball team. She brought in a few transfers, and they're going to be a scary team. So I think USC will take the cake in that game. So I have a South Carolina USC final. And then, Alvin, how about this? I have South Carolina winning it just because Dawn Staley going into March Madness was 101-3 in the last 3 seasons. She's got 101 wins and 3 losses. South Carolina will win the national championship. But if it is South Carolina versus USC, I propose that the winner of that game takes the name USC. You get to be USC. Because everyone who goes to South Carolina, they call themselves USC. That's clearly incorrect. But Southern California, if they lose, I propose they lose the name USC, and now South Carolina gets to call themselves USC until the next time that they meet in March Madness ever.
Oh yeah, they should definitely make a trophy. Like they should do all the work to make that like a serious thing. Like really have some pride in that to be called USC. You can put that on the scholarships, put that as a mantra, make some commercials about it. I'm with that.
Max, what do you think?
I want to hate it, but I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. Boom, I got you, baby.
I want to hate it really bad, but honestly, for the bit, it does sound pretty nice. Because listen, I'm a Southern California guy, so I'm gonna always say USC. My family, friends, whatever, always USC versus UCLA, right? Rose Bowl, all that jazz. But if they lose, then hey, you suck. So other USC, you get it.
Wouldn't that be insane? I feel like that'd be freaking awesome. So anyways,
Twitter would go wild over something like that.
Yeah, I know. It would be great for the sport as well. Like that'd be fantastic.
It'd be great for the sport.
So one final thing I do want to talk about is the biggest upset that we had, which was number 14 Oakland, who beat number 3 Kentucky 80-76. It was the first massive upset of March Madness behind Oakland's Jack Golke, who had 32 points, 10 of 20 from three-point range, Alvin. He came off the bench and put on a performance for the ages. Cool story, that Golke is. He was a zero-star recruit with no Division I offer coming out of high school. He played at Division II Hillsdale College for 5 seasons, and he was doing Uber and DoorDash on the side. He entered the transfer portal before this season, but received only one D offer, which was Oakland. Not Oakland, California, obviously. Oakland, the university. And by the way, the Golden Grizzlies, doesn't that just roll off your tongue? That just sounds so good. But anyways, he took the offer from the Golden Grizzlies, and in his first season at the D1 level, he led Oakland to a Horizon League championship and NCAA tournament. And versus Kentucky, again, he hit those 10 three-pointers en route to the massive upset. The record for most made threes in a tournament game is 11, and he was 1 shy. So he's officially submitted himself as a March Madness legend after that performance. That one was a lot of fun. Hey, let's get to behind the scenes in sports a little bit, and behind the scenes of what, working for a good team that might make March Madness is like when we talk to Brock Borgeson next, here on The Sports Scene. Brock Borgeson joins the show now. Brock, my brother, thank you so much for coming on The Sports Scene. You are a busy man to track down. I literally thought I would have to come down to Miami and, get down in the trenches to try to find you, get a little, laser on you, just so you know that you're being tracked to get on The Sports Scene. But thanks so much for making time in your busy schedule to come on.
Yeah, Jesse, no problem. I know I'm always difficult to get in touch with. I appreciate you tracking me down. I'm usually one of 2 places. I'm at work or I'm at home. But happy to talk a little bit about sports and the industry.
Yeah, and no one makes the industry go more than SIDs, also known as sports information directors, right? And this is the point in our podcast where we want to take a step back from sports, specifically now that March Madness is going on. You hear all these stories coming from March Madness, and I want to highlight the people that are behind those stories that make broadcasters' lives easier, that make journalists' lives easier, that make newspapers' lives easier, that make media outlets' lives way easier. Sports information directors actually make college sports go. Every story you hear originally starts with a fact that a sports information director gave in some sort of media guide or gave to the media, right? Can you first tell me, what is a sports information director? What is their role for the people out there on iHeartRadio and Sports Fluid Media that want to know what this position is? What is it?
So I think it's difficult to really capture fully because it's so different from division to division in college sports. If you go NAIA, D3, D2, D1, JUCO even as well, they're different from each division. And I can say that because I've worked at Division III level a couple of times, and I worked at a mid-major level, and I also have been, a few months at a Power 5 school. So generally speaking, you're right, they're the sports information directors. So they are the avenue for which information and communication and content goes on for the programs that they're working with. The reason I say it's so different from place to place is that my job at North Florida, as you knew me, was similar to the job I have at Miami, but it was different because each school has different staffs, they have different needs, they have different capabilities and what they can do, and it determines what hats you wear. So you could be working with the posting on social media, you could be working with the creation of the content that goes on social media. You could be, writing those recaps, writing the bios on the website that people pull up when they're calling games. You could be writing the media almanacs, writing the game notes, writing the quick facts, writing the word rosters. But you could also be statting the games themselves. So if you're following live stats on ESPN's app for a Division I game, or you're following live stats and stat broadcast or sidearm, that usually at a Power 5 level is not that SID, but at pretty much every other level, it's the sports information director doing that. So it's a very specialized field in that respect. So today's day and age, it's really a lot of things, and it's a lot different than the sports information directors of 10, 20 years ago, which were really solely get information, shoot it out to the media, see what they do with it. Now it's a little bit different where, it can be social media, it can be broadcast, which also did at UNF too, to an extent. It can be writing, can be shooting the video, shooting photos, graphic design, video editing. It really is every area potentially in communications and digital media. So I think the first thing to say is it varies heavily from division to division and then from pro sports to college sports.
Well, I like to say I'm the jack of all trades, master of none. You actually are the jack of all trades and master of all of the trades as well.
I'm not the master,
awesome.
That's for sure. I'm definitely not the master. I definitely would say definitely a master of none as well in that regard. But you get it in broadcast. It's the same, especially when you're trying out different sports and traveling on your own and doing things like that. You have to come up with methods that work for you. And I think generally, just for people that are listening or in the industry of sports information, you really have to grasp being creative and having some ingenuity with what you're doing, because it's very fast paced and you have to do a lot of things on your own or innovate to get things done.
Well, let's talk about how you kind of became, in my opinion, the master of all of these trades. So you started off, you were an undergraduate assistant at Simpson College, where you also played baseball, correct?
I tried to play baseball, yeah.
Baseball boy, let's go!
I had some tough games for sure. Had some cold games.
You and me both.
But yeah.
But so you started off there as an athletics communication undergraduate assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So you created game day materials, right? Wrote game recaps, handled some PA duties, was play-by-play as well. Why did you get into that after baseball?
So it was during when I was playing there. I mean, I played baseball 4 years there. Played it all 4 years at Simpson. So I did it that whole time. I did a couple other things. I was a sports editor of the newspaper there as well. So the student newspaper, I ran that. Looking back, it's a pretty experimental thing I did, but at the time, it really gave me my reps in sports writing. So I did that. I also worked as a media relations intern with the Iowa Cubs, a media relations intern with the Iowa Energy G League team, and Iowa as well. But I got to start in it because, I love sports. I loved communications. I loved being able to create content. It wasn't enough for me to just watch content. I really started my love for this type of thing in high school, which isn't on my resume, but I started making YouTube video game walkthroughs when I was 14. So that was...
Yeah, I thought you were always meant to be on camera, let me just say.
I wasn't on camera. I wasn't on camera.
What? Your little picture wasn't in the corner?
No, man.
No!
I started it before people... Everybody that's making YouTube videos now or even talks about it or whatnot or watches them, they were like 4 when I started making my videos. I started out in 2000. I started out in 2007 making these YouTube videos.
You built this thing then. That's what I'm talking
I was making walkthroughs before there was a 10-minute time limit on your videos. There was a 100 megabyte limit on the video size. I was recording it off of a screen capture. So I did that religiously for 4 years of high school. I pretty much just did that from my freshman to senior year of high school, and I'd play video games to master them, and then I would get so good at it that I knew exactly what to do in every situation, and I would write notes for myself, and I would just make the videos. I made probably over 1,000 videos in high school. So I love creating things. I love making things. I love kind of mastering things and sharing information. I love being the one to come up with something or to have an idea. So I just kind of paired that with sports. I was obsessed with sports too. That's my passion of mine. It's not my only interest, but it wasn't enough for me to just compete or watch. I love stories. I love talking to people. I love challenging myself with different things. So it was kind of the perfect marriage. I started as the undergraduate assistant at Simpson, which is the same thing as an SID, athletics communication. So I was statting games. Weirdly enough, at that level, I would have to take the stat laptop with me all the way down to Arizona when we play our spring trips, because no schools had
Wow.
SIDs that went down there, because at the Division III level, they don't travel with teams. And I was making travel vlogs for social media, as the player. And
That's
then I was statting games that I would pitch in. Even sometimes when I went into pitch as a reliever, I'd be sitting there at a park bench right by the complex, statting the first 7 innings. And then I distinctly remember having to, watch and stat those 7 innings. And then I had to go in and pitch the 8th and the 9th. And then I had to go back and stat the rest of the game, and send the file off to our SID back in Iowa and have him post it. So that's how the box score got on the website. So, I kind of I just got involved that way, and had a couple people encourage me that were my teammates, actually, that worked on the student paper. I loved doing that, and I would go in every Monday morning and interview the head football coach in his office, which is crazy to think about, that I got a one-on-one with the head football coach, because that's Division III. And then I, went from there, and had a good time with the Iowa Cubs interning. I'm a Cubs fan, so got to work with Kyle Schwarber and Chris Bryant and Taylor Teagarden and Arismendi Alcantara and Junior Lake and who else? Addison Russell, Tommy LaStella, Javier Baez. So I worked with all those guys. So I got a good opportunity with them, and got to see more what the media relations side was, because that really wasn't at Simpson. And then I did that with the Iowa Energy as well, a G League team in Des Moines, Iowa. They had Perry Jones III, Baylor guy. They had the Harrison twins from Kentucky. So had them for a little bit. Had Russ Smith from Louisville, Terrence Oglesby, who's actually on the field of 68 all the time. He went to Clemson. So I, just got in that world too. So, and then it just took off from there. Was a GA in New Jersey. Just followed to wherever I could get a sports information opportunity, and then been 6 years in Florida.
So yeah, you became a graduate assistant at William Patterson University of New Jersey, and you were the media contact for the women's soccer team there, softball, and men's and women's swimming and diving. And obviously you've gotten experience now, like you said, in Iowa with professional teams as well. But then you come down to Florida and you get the job as the assistant director for athletic communications for them. And then you become the assistant athletic director for strategic communications at North Florida. I'm just wondering, when did you find out that SIDing was exactly what your calling was, and that's where you wanted to be? Was it at William Patterson, or was it at University of North Florida, or was it working for one of the professional teams? Where did it happen where you're like, this is the thing I'm going to do at least for the next 20 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, me to say that my first year at William Patterson, I want to say I disliked it. I think I was just unsure of what it really was, because you only have one experience at that point in sports information in college setting. So at that time, I still was making YouTube videos and doing all that, and I thought, I kind of want to go more so on not renegade's a bad word, but I wanted to be a little bit more of a maverick in the content that I made. I wanted to do my own thing. So I was experimenting that. I kind of was like, I would like want to work for like Complex or something, or like, like do what DJ Vlad does. I don't know if you know who that is, or like,
Yeah, of course.
Interviews like French Montana and, Daryl Strawberry, like I said, and stuff like that. So maybe I want to do that. But, my second year at William Patterson, I really took the job because I just kind of what I do throughout my career too. I just like experimenting with new cities and new places. And I had an offer to go to Iowa State, or Southern Indiana as well for GA positions, but I was like, I've been in the Midwest, might as well just check out the East Coast. So just went to a random school in New Jersey. I know some people out here in Miami that know of the school, and they're like, how the heck do you end up there? It's a small school that I'm probably the only graduate of both William Patterson and Simpson on the earth. So I was out there, state school. It's like a commuter school in New Jersey, and got to my second year. My boss, who now doesn't work in sports information, but he worked for LIU for a bit. He came in my second year, and he ended up leaving middle of my second year at William Patterson, and he that opened up an opportunity for me to have a little bit more of a role, and I kind of could show what I could do. At that level, it's a smaller level. Like I was, still just writing recaps, making graphics, statting softball games, soccer games, basketball games. I mean, I was doing PA for football. Like, what is this? Like, doing stuff like that, and you take pride in it, and so you end up liking it. And then I just saw it as a way to experiment with a new area of the United States. I applied all the way from Eastern New Mexico, University of Portales, New Mexico, getting calls from guys say, hey, you're going to be the rodeo contact if you take this job. Like, I don't know if you know anything about rodeo.
I'll learn.
Montana. Yeah, I got to learn Montana State. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll get on the bull, but I'll write about it. But, all the way out in Montana as well. And then I went down to North Florida. So it was kind of in between my time as a GA, and then I would say like 2 or 3 years into my time at North Florida, you saw how it operated there. It was a lot of hats that you had to wear, and I really, I'm thankful that everybody in administration there allowed me to kind of just run with it and just make the most of whatever I wanted to do. It was really, looking back, just a playground for me to experiment, and that was the perfect thing for me. Like, that's all I care about doing is just creating and making sets and rigs for video shoots and, coming up with different ways to broadcast things. And that's what the job allowed. And I think it showed me at that point that I'll ride it out as long as I can do it. I don't know if 20 years is what I would say, but, it fills my time for sure. So somewhere in between there, and, I just turned 30 this past year, so it's crazy to think, but, my whole 20s has just been an evolution of wanting to do it. So tough days, good days, all in between for sure, as you know.
Absolutely. Well, I want to know a little bit more about the logistics real quick as we're wrapping up this little interview.
Yep.
I want to know about the logistics of your job. What is the day-to-day life of what you do, and why is it so valuable to these teams? Because I see the value in it. But where do you see the value in what you do as well?
It's so tough to know just because every day can be so different, especially in season and when you're in crossover season of multiple sports. I would generally just, for simplicity's sake, divide it into like a pie of like, you've got your stats, you've got your media relations, you've got your creative, you've got your like organization management thing, like managing the website, managing your files, like that thing. You got your administrative side if you're leading people or whatever. So you kind of divide it up in that area. So it's a little bit different at the Power 5 level, but I would say, any given day, it's, you're making game notes in between games, updating game notes, updating storylines for broadcasters, maybe coordinating interviews, coordinating press releases, making upcoming posts for games, promoting somebody's achievements from the previous game, promoting a game that's coming up, schedule releases,
media guides.
Yeah, media guides in the off season, of course. That's a really big. Yeah, I mean that's a huge thing for broadcasters and for the media as well. And then working the events themselves. So on a game day, that pretty much swallows up your whole day. So whatever that entails. Social media content, interviews with coaches, getting them the things that they need, working the game, making sure everything's in the right place. At UNF, it was, I had to staff everybody. So, also having to worry about staffing as well, making sure they're all in the right places. But as you mentioned earlier, just to simplify it for people, because they watch March Madness, but Jordan Sarnoff, who was the SID at Farley Dickinson University, kind of went viral last year because he was a student. He was an undergrad, and he was the SID for FDU when they knocked off Purdue, and then they got to the Sweet 16. His life was crazy. His life was nuts, and he was 21. But he was the one that was really setting up those interviews and getting people on Good Morning America and this, that, and the other, working with the head coach and promoting them. So if you want to look at the media relations side or the storytelling side of the SID job, it's that. But the other reason that I say it's so important to have continuity, and I mean, I do talk about, you bounce around to different places, see and experiment. I think the best SIDs are the ones that are at a place for a long time because they possess so much institutional knowledge because they are the ones providing those stories to people, and they are the one providing the right information to people. So Jordan Sarnoff, for example, he hadn't been there a long time, but he really knew his team, he really knew his coach. So when they beat Purdue, he was able to capitalize on it. He was able to tell the stories. He was able to get the information to guys like Ian Eagle, John Rothstein, Jeff Goodman, for them to tell the stories then, and for them to proliferate the information. I mean, St. Peter's, Doug Eddert, for example, was the guy for them a couple years ago, and just the way he looked, his mustache and all that, like UC Golke on Oakland, so it's the SIDs that are pushing that, and they're the ones that are setting up those interviews, or they're the ones that are handing the notes to the broadcasters in game, telling them, hey, this record just passed, this, achievement's about to come up, this is the first time this has happened, or whatever it may be, and obviously that resonates with you because that's what you do, but
absolutely.
There's so many other areas and things that they touch. It's crazy. I mean, they're involved in Hall of Fame. They're involved with, the nominations for that. Every year the Hall of Fame comes up. They're involved with the look on social media. They're involved with the branding side. They're, especially at lower levels. So, just really everything. I know you mentioned NIL off screen. We don't really touch it too much as SIDs just because, like, the restrictions are that as an employee of the university, you can't be the one giving them content if it's related to NIL. But obviously it's impacted our job because the type of people that are recruited and type of players that are student athletes that are recruited is changing because of NIL. And then that impacts the coaches, and then that impacts the team, which impacts you. So it's really changed the whole landscape of college sports.
Yeah, actually, my final question for you is actually about the NIL, and how do you see as the SID? You spend a lot of times with teams and players and in different programs. Has NIL sort of changed the way coaches treat players or the way players treat coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's changed the relationship just because there's different things at stake now. You have, more than, I heard somebody talking about this the other day. I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't know if it was like Gilbert Arenas, or I don't think it was, but it was a basketball player, retired, talking about how, a coach showing up and driving to their house, or, seeing them at their high school gym, or doing whatever. Oh, it was Deion Sanders talking about it in that recent interview he just did. He just talked about, people were giving him guff about it, but they were saying I don't go out and recruit and as much as I need, or as much as other people do, because the way recruiting has changed now, especially for grad transfers and transfers in undergrad, or that are undergrads, because they want to know what they can get, they want to know what's on the table potentially, and them coming to our school doesn't necessarily get determined by how many visits I give them, or how many times I see them, or things like that. So I mean, I'm not a coach. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that has definitely changed the dynamic for a lot of coaches. And it's changed the dynamic for what schools are going after what. And it's a part of the changing landscape that is college sports. I mean, college sports has changed in so many other ways since college sports became a popular thing. So it's naive for us to think that, it can just stay the same forever. I mean, the NBA had to merge with the ABA at some point too. Like stuff like that happens. Like MLB used to, they didn't play interleague games. Like, the DH used to be a thing. Like, there used to not be any divisional series or league championship series. It used to be the World Series. Like, There's, so many things that change within sports that are, moving. The only things that really don't change are the dimensions of the field and the court, or the, whatever it may be. But other than that, it's people, and everything is political to a degree. Not that political is the right word, but, when it involves people. So people are going to change. The world's going to change. Cultures are going to change. Technology influences sports as well. I mean, NIL doesn't exist without social media. So, when social media comes about the scene 15 years ago, that just is what starts, the trail for things like broadcasting, NIL, social media content to come up. So it's all connected.
Brock, you are absolutely the man. I just want to take a second to say thank you. You're the reason I really was able to start to get into a different type of broadcasting for ESPN Plus and everything else. So I want to say thank you, not just for that, but also for what you do and for what all SIDs do, and that's push college sports forward and make sports media more advanced every single day. And you guys drive the stories, and you guys do such a great job of telling the stories of these athletes. And you're not just helping them and helping us, you're helping everyone get to the next level, right? We're always trying to unlock what the next boss is, or, level up to a certain sense. And because of you, I think I'm leveling up. I think the players that you're covering are leveling up, and we all hope that you're leveling up as well. So thank you so much for everything that you do. It's truly, amazing to be able to call you a friend, and also just to have you come on this show and shed some light on the thing that people don't really see in college sports. The people that push college sports forward are SIDs. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Hey, would love to have you back on this summer to talk baseball, because you're a huge baseball head. Is that okay? Can I have you back on this summer?
Yeah, I mean,
in the off season?
and first of all, appreciate it. I mean, I hope I'm leveling up, but I hope I'm leveling up to other people. Most importantly, it's a difficult business, but I mean, I'll be honest. I probably watch more college baseball these days. So I don't know.
College baseball World Series.
I'm locked in on college baseball, so I watch a little bit of MLB, but mostly on Twitter from whatever I see. But I'll probably be more well versed in college baseball by then. Definitely down here at Miami, seeing we saw Florida and Virginia most recently here. So good baseball, but happy to be on again.
That's Brock Borgeson here on the Sports Scene. One more segment coming up in a sec. Hey! Welcome back to the Sports Scene, everyone. For our final segment, we are going into one of our original games. It's called Take It or Leave It. I'm going to give Max and Alvin a phrase, a quote, something, and they're either going to take it like they agree with it, or they're going to leave it. So, Alvin, take it or leave it. With Caitlin Clark not in college basketball next year, remember she's already committed to the WNBA draft, Juju Watkins will be the best overall player in college basketball.
I'm taking that. I think with Juju Watkins, when you watch her play, the only thing you say is that she can be inefficient at times. And that's at times. It's not like she's an inefficient player at all. When you're talking about Caitlin Clark, who resembles Steph Curry a lot, you would say Juju Watkins resembles Kobe. I don't think that's a bad comparison at all. So I think with her being 18 years old, a freshman in college, you're new to everything as far as school, lifestyle, everything like that. You get one season under your belt, and she's able to adapt and have an entire offseason to grind and hone in her skills. Coaches know her game a little bit better. She has her teammates around her who's going to develop with her. I think she's going to take the game to the next level. I think Caitlin Clark has done an excellent job, and there's obviously a slew of girls who were involved in that process, LSU being as dominant as they were. USC with Coach Don Staley being as dominant as they were. I think that helps spur the game forward, and I think Juju's going to be an excellent figurehead when Caitlin Clark leaves. So, I'm taking that.
Max, question for you. Pretty tame, relatively normal one here. Take it or leave it. Shohei Ohtani will face federal repercussions from this whole gambling scheme.
I don't think he'll face anything this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he faces things after the end of the season, where, people probably try to pry, Twitter accounts try to pry, more news comes to light. I think they're going to try to keep it hush-hush just for this year, just so they can, really try to establish his stardom in LA. But it wouldn't surprise me if things happen towards the end of the year.
Okay.
On a federal level, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not that guy.
There we go. So, you're leaving it.
Mate, I just told you what I'm doing with it.
All right. Alvin, take it or leave it. The Kansas City Chiefs will go back-to-back this season.
I want to leave it because I'm a Dolphins fan, but, realistically, just being completely realistic, as how they're retooling, it looks good. And they kind of figured out the whole Miami Heat mantra of regular season, doesn't matter, just get to the dance, and then you're not putting anything on film, really. You show up in the postseason, and you're just firing off cylinders. They got Hollywood Brown, and I know what people think about Hollywood Brown because his stint in Baltimore and then his short stint in the Cardinals. his drops are a little Kadarius Toney-esque depending on who you're asking. But I think him being in that environment with Pat Mahomes, Casey, and knowing what happened with Kadarius Toney for real, I think that's going to spur his game. I think Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are on a different level. So I'll take it, but I'm not taking it with my chest out. I'll take it low key.
I agree with that. I would also take it low key. Max, do you agree with that?
I take it with my full chest out.
Oh, okay.
With the
Tits
taco
are out.
meat.
baby.
I just don't
With the
see.
tits
I don't.
out.
With the tits out, yeah. I don't see any other team. I mean, Brock Purdy played amazing, right? It was great to see him play that great. A lot of question marks around his type of performance, and he played fantastic. But Mahomes just has that one little notch just left in the system at all times, ready to go. And I just think that the Chiefs would now. They also got some, L'Jarius Jones or someone like that, some cornerback.
Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed, tomato potato. But they just got some, high class
Jones and
quarterback
Sneed are
as
not
well.
the same.
Listen,
Oh.
if you take out whatever, I don't have to explain. But right, they're
do.
improving on offense. They're improving on defense. They already have the best quarterback in the league, one of the best offensive minds as a coach in the league. I don't see them getting worse, and they just won the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna have to say it with my chest.
Take it or leave it. Because of Caitlin Clark leaving to the WNBA, the WNBA will now be more watched than Women's March Madness. Remember, last year, Women's March Madness broke every
I'm
record.
leaving that.
Okay.
I'm leaving that. I'll leave it because I think the WNBA is going to see an extremely bolstered revenue. I think in general, like you're going to have someone who is a juggernaut coming in, influx of eyes. You're going to get new TV deals. I hope they're doing a lot more as far as celebrity games, all-star games. Hopefully they merge the two. Like there's a lot of stuff that people are looking forward to with the game. So I think the WNBA will look better than they did this year, and I think they're going to continue to be on that upward trend. But I think now March Madness for women is now same level of craziness and excitement as the men's. And we poo-pooed all over the men's like last week before about how no one's going to watch. And people are still watching because it's still Cinderella stories. You still have guys that are 0 stars that are having the game of their lives, potentially breaking records. And we just love to see it. So I think March Madness for women's, I don't even know if it'll see a decline, really, because we just talked about how the future is looking as good as it is right now. What if someone comes in? What if Juju comes in next year and she goes nuts and is right there on top of Caitlin Clark's records? Or if we have another freshman come in and do the same thing. So I think women's basketball in general is on the proper trajectory, but I don't know if the WNBA, just because of Caitlin Clark, will outshine March Madness specifically. That month, the month of March, for collegiate sports is crazy. I don't know if it's going to be topped just by one player.
I agree. And I think there's so many more good players that will be in college basketball that are, offering all this excitement and everything. So I absolutely agree with you there. I'm going to leave it as well. Okay, Max, attending a major sporting event is truly an American experience, but there's nothing more truly American than the crazy food options at these parks. So here's some of the most over-the-top concoctions you can find at a baseball, basketball, football, or hockey stadium across the U.S. All right? Your first one, take it or leave it. Bacon wrapped anything. So anything wrapped in bacon is good. Take it or leave it.
That's rum, so I leave that.
So you
I
wouldn't
don't
do
eat pork.
bacon wrapped hot dogs
I don't eat pork.
just for the month?
Man,
Mate, listen, I haven't eaten pork for a minute now. Haram.
Really?
Leave it.
Okay, leave it. Alvin, what do you think? Bacon wrapped hot dog, take it or leave it.
a bacon wrapped hot dog, it just depends on my mental state in the moment. There's moments that I could definitely go, bacon wrapped hot dog late at night. I had a couple of brewskis, boom, down the hatch. But then also like on a Sunday morning, life is good, the sun's out. Like I'm not necessarily trying to smash a bacon hot dog. I'm watching my calories, I'm watching my figure. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on where I'm at mentally. So I gotta leave it, but but not with my
Really?
chest out. Not with my chest out. Humbly, because I'll sneak
What?
some in. You see that Russell Westbrook meme? Like I'll sneak some of that in occasionally.
Okay. Because they have bacon wrapped onions and bacon wrapped bacon that they sell at one ballpark. I think that's
My
kind of
arteries
dumb,
are just
but
hurting.
yeah, that would not be good. Okay, Max, take it or leave it. Deep fried butter. This is served as at the Texas State Fair. They get all the credit for this one. They put powdered sugar on the outside and drizzle it with syrup. The butter is cube fried.
I think if there are other elements at play that I won't describe at this current moment, I could be interested because I have had a deep fried Twinkie, and I thought it was gonna suck, and it slapped. So maybe with the syrup and the powdered sugar and whatever, I think I could sneak one of those ones in. So I might have to take it just for the fun of it.
Alvin, deep fried butter.
I think it's even worse than the last one. Like I would have to be even more, bro. Deep fried butter. Like there's nothing else to it. It's just straight up deep fried butter. And I'm looking at that, and I know what that could do to my heart. Like I'm fully aware.
The thing is, for me, sorry to interrupt. You're yapping. But the thing is, for me, is that it's not that it's gonna do some damage to my body because I've already done that. 26 years of that. So my body's used to that type of madness. But it's the texture. Like, is it gonna be all gooey? Like, I don't want no gooey fried butter in my mouth. You know what I mean? It's just gonna make me think of some things that I really don't want to think about when I'm eating that thing. And I'm trying to watch some sports. I don't want no gooey butter in my mouth like that.
Wow. Okay. Glad to have you back, Max. All right, Alvin. The next one's for you. Take it or leave it. The Luther Burger. Do you know what this is?
No, I've never heard of it. Luther Burger.
Okay, well, this is the Calorie King, which pays homage to the R&B singer Luther Vandross, who was rumored to have enjoyed his burgers on Krispy Kreme donuts. So a glazed donut is split in half and serves as the bun for a juicy patty loaded with cheese, bacon, fried onions, and barbecue sauce.
Oh man, that's like
Take it or leave it.
I'm taking that. Like it's 1,000% going to be delicious.
That's
it's
the
just
one
that,
you're
like,
taking?
bro, are you kidding? That's a McGriddle on steroids. Like that sounds.
So you
but
would not do a bacon wrapped hot dog, a small old bacon wrapped hot dog?
Bacon wrapped
and
hot
you're
dog
gonna
is just like.
I literally said the Calorie King. It doesn't get bigger than that.
But there's levels to it. Like I can't just like, all right, I didn't work out all week and I'm just gonna smash this Calorie King. Like no, this is like, all right, we want Calorie King on Sunday. I have to max out my week. Like I gotta be hitting. I have to do a double leg split. Like I gotta really get after it the week before, and I can be like, all right, you know what, Calorie King, let's slice this donut up and let's get after it. But that sounds good. The bacon wrapped hot dog, like that's just a lot. That's a lot of meat. That's too much meat in one sitting. Like one just boom, that's it, nothing else. Like that's wild. Versus okay, you got a donut, bacon, you got cheese,
a burger,
you got a burger.
Has the same amount of meat on it as
yeah.
the hot dog,
But I'm also not the glizzy goblin
bacon
in
and
general.
Meat. So in the hot dog,
I'm
it's
not
bacon
a
and a
glizzy
dog.
goblin.
And this, it's bacon and a burger.
Yes, different things. So a hot dog is the same as a burger.
So you're going, you just like give me all of the fat and all of the calories, or give me none.
Yes. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna
give
do
me
it
liberty
right.
or
I'm
give me
gonna do
death. Okay, got it.
Send it.
Max, take it or leave it. The Luther Burger.
I think Alvin provided some great analysis on that. Like with the bacon wrap hot dog. Let's remove the fact that it's rum, right? Just for the entertainment purposes, just for you guys, so you guys can have a little fun in this episode.
Let's go.
So the thing about the bacon wrap hot dog is that that's like an unplanned type of food, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh. It's just you're gonna come. You don't plan going to the stadium. That's like, oh, I'm gonna go get this thing. But if you're going to a stadium and you know that they have this whole double donut burger madness thing, you're gonna plan your week. You might even plan a whole month around something like that. The double leg split might be a quad leg split. Who knows, right? Depends what you look like And so I think for that reason, you would, if you're going to a stadium to enjoy the experience as a whole, you might have to try that Luther burger. And I understand why it's called Luther, because it's saying because of haram, right? That's just what we're going with. But I'm not going to bring that up at this moment. So would I try it? Maybe. I would like to try the donuts. Donuts sound pretty good right now.
Oh, donuts do sound really good right now. You are correct. Okay,
Phenomenal.
Next one for you, Max. The churro dog. So forget the hot dog buns. This sweet treat features a giant churro standing in for the bread. The dog itself is sometimes a regular hot dog, but other versions may be filled with cream cheese or even ice cream. The whole thing is then drizzled with caramel and chocolate sauce. So take it or leave it. You could have it either way.
Listen, if there's ice cream or cream cheese or whatever, I'm definitely taking that bad boy. I'm taking two.
Big cream guy.
I'm going Charles Barkley on that. San Antonio, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm doing with those.
Give him the cream.
I'm doing
The
that.
creamer.
If that got the ice cream and the cream cheese or whatever, I'm doing the Charles Barkley San Antonio. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, I might just have to take it as well, just because. You know.
Oh, bro, Max, I miss you, buddy.
Well, anyways, thank you, Brock. Thank you, Alvin and Max. What have you done? And thank you all for tuning in today to the show on iHeartRadio and iHeartRadio Podcast. You want a little more sports madness in your life? Well, tune back in on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, or find us on whatever streaming platform that you use at 10 a.m. the same day. Also, subscribe to us on Sports Fluent Media on YouTube, and please rate, comment, download the show everywhere else. And next week, we'll be back with a lot more sports talk, so stay tuned. We got some great interviews coming up in the next few weeks, but until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you right back here on the sports scene with Jess Ough, presented by First Bet.